Hi everyone, welcome to the May Staff Council Presents Coffee and Conversation with Dr. Jim Earle. I'm here today, my name is Sam Young, I'm the Vice Co-Chair of Staff Life, and I would like to welcome the Vice Dean of Operations and Assistant Professor at the School of Dental Medicine. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here, Sam. Thanks for inviting me.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and went to school at Miami of Ohio out near Cincinnati, and was working my way back toward Baltimore, so I took a job in Pittsburgh, and I worked in the corporate world in downtown Pittsburgh for about 5 years, and actually ended up meeting a girl from Pittsburgh who is now my wife, and you meet a Pittsburgher, you tend to stay in Pittsburgh. So, but I'm really glad we did. We've loved making Pittsburgh home. But after about 5 years in the corporate world, I really wanted to do something different. So I came here for my MBA, and while I was working on my MBA, I actually volunteered in the athletic department. So I started my career here 31 years ago as a volunteer, and worked in athletics for about 11 years, and then moved to overseeing auxiliary services, housing, dining, parking, bookstores, and then eventually moved to the School of Dental Medicine. So it's been 31 years at Pitt, and it's been really a fantastic place to be, a great place to work, and I've loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. So you told us a little bit about that you came from Baltimore and things along those lines. Why did you decide to essentially stay in the East Coast area? What was your thought on that?
Yeah, I guess I've always loved the East Coast. I mean, I loved Baltimore partially because it was so close to the ocean and an easy drive to get there. So if you really wanted to get away and relax, and actually we still do summer vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and we've just done it ever since. So I've always been a little partial to the East Coast, and knew I didn't want to go much further west than when I was out in school at Cincinnati, so I wanted to kind of get back to the east. And Pittsburgh's great because it's an easy drive to Ocean City still, but I love the city. It's, you've probably heard it before, but it's a big city, but it feels like a small town, and I really like that the geography of Pittsburgh keeps it from really expanding. It can't be one of those sprawling cities. Like, I'm always amazed when I fly into like Chicago and you just see lights that go forever. And in Pittsburgh, we don't really have that because the mountains and the rivers keep the downtown area pretty small. Yeah. So, once you cross a river or go through a tunnel, you're pretty much in the suburbs. And I love that we can go downtown for a game or a show in the cultural district and be home in 25 minutes. It's insane. So I love that about it, and I'm glad we made Pittsburgh home. It's been a great place to raise our kids, and then for them to be exposed to Pitt the way they have has been phenomenal too.
So why did you decide to become first in auxiliary services and actually at the athletics and then auxiliary services, and now here in the dental school?
Yeah, I've had an interesting career path, I admit it. But when I was working in the corporate world, I really wasn't fulfilled. I loved the business side of it, but I didn't feel like it was about helping people. Okay. I felt like it was about making profit, and that's what we were driven by. I mean, it's funny, I look at our appraisal system here, and my appraisal system there was simple: sales and profitability. That was it. They didn't care about anything else. And so I just wasn't feeling like it was the passion that I had or the place for me. And so I was thinking about higher education. My father was a college professor, so I feel like I grew up on a college campus, and I loved going to school. I loved being in college. I loved learning, and I just thought higher ed might be the right fit. And so when I came back here for my MBA, the intention was, try to get a job at Pitt, and see if I like it. And I loved athletics, and I thought college athletics would be a really neat fit. So I was very fortunate. I did have to beg to volunteer, I will tell you, and today I don't even know if it would be allowed. I don't think they let us take volunteers, but I had to beg. I sent letters, I made phone calls. I said, look, you don't have to pay me. Like, I will volunteer, okay? Like, I'll do anything you want. And I joke now that I was the best letter stuffer they ever had. You know, that was back when we used to mail letters. Like, we used to actually stuff envelopes. And if I had to run an errand across campus, I was the best errand runner they ever saw, you know. And I tell, when I, you know, speak to college students, I tell them, you know, get your foot in the door and then be the best they've ever seen at what they're asking you to do. And I was really fortunate. A position opened up after about 4 months of volunteering.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the right place at the right time. And I was hired by a woman named Earle, who became one of my mentors, just an incredible woman who worked at Pitt for 35, 40 years before she retired, and was just a fantastic boss and opened up a lot of opportunities for me to grow there. And then I was reaching a point in my career in athletics where, in athletics, a lot of times you have to jump schools to move up. And I had thought I wanted to be an athletic director. Like, I was sort of on that track and pursuing it. But I knew we were going to have to move. And we really loved Pittsburgh. Didn't want to leave Pittsburgh. And I loved Pitt. I didn't really want to leave Pitt. But the kids, we have 3 boys, and they were young at the time, and I was spending a lot of time at Pitt athletic events and on the road traveling with Pitt teams, and wasn't really able to do a lot of coaching their teams or be involved in their activities. So I was really fortunate that the opportunity opened up in business and auxiliary services that gave me a chance to stay at Pitt, stay in Pittsburgh, take on some additional leadership responsibility as really running that department. And it was really probably the greatest professional experience of my life, was working there in business and auxiliary services. I felt like our team was phenomenal, and we just got a lot of great things done, and it was really rewarding. And then after about 15 years of that, I realized I'm going to work at Pitt for 35 or 40 years and never have worked on the academic side of this institution, which is what we're all about. And so I had a meeting with Dean Costello at the time. He was looking for somebody to run the business side of the school. And after meeting with Dean Costello, we just really clicked, and I thought it would be a neat opportunity, a chance to see the academic side of what we do, and so started in the dental school. So the one consistent thing about my career path is I have never known what I was doing. I moved into jobs and didn't have a clue, but it's been great. It's been really, it's kept me energized. I think, you know, it's given me new challenges, which have been really reinvigorating, you know, so it's been fun.
So you and I know each other because I was a student when you were teaching in leadership development class for my master's program.
That's she was a very good student, by the way, for the record. Excellent student.
Thank you. You don't have to say that, but I appreciate that. So with that being stated, do you like that role of professor more than you like working as on the business side, or are you?
That is a really good question. And it may sound corny, but I love them both. And what I love about being in higher education is I get to do both. Because I do love the business side of what we do. I do love the analytics, the metrics of really trying to make us more productive, more efficient. But I also love teaching. I love helping others grow and achieve their goals and their dreams. And so higher ed allows me to do both. And the positions I've had have allowed me to do both. You know, to teach a course like the course you were in while I'm working during the day and then teaching at night has really allowed me to tap into both of those things that I love to do. And that's been the most, I think, fulfilling thing, is just to be able to really feel like you know what your passion is, and then to be able to pursue it and live it.
And because you're in the dental school, which you have an MBA, and not really a DMD. So what kind of challenges were there for you when you stepped into that role?
Yeah, the biggest challenge has been vocabulary, like learning what an endodontist is and a periodontist and a prosthodontist. And, you know, for the first 6 months, I would come out of meetings with a list of words that I had to look up just to see what they were talking about, you know. But I think if I think about my career path and the challenges, the biggest challenge has been, you know, being able to say, I don't know. Right? Because I joke, but I truly didn't know anything about a lot of these areas. And to be able Because when you're a leader, in a leadership position, I'll say when you're in a position of leadership, because I think we all have the ability to lead from wherever we are.
Sure.
But when you're in a leadership position, sometimes you feel the pressure to know, right? To have the answer. And what I've learned through this journey is that it's okay to say, I don't know. And in fact, I would say it's more than okay, because I think people appreciate when you're honest as a leader and say, I'm not sure. What would you do? Like, you're the expert here. What would you do? And then to listen to their opinions and thoughts and ideas shows that you value them and that you appreciate them. And I think that allows you then to help them grow, and they trust you, builds that sort of trusting foundation that you need to be effective in a leadership role. And so I think that the biggest challenge has been learning that it's okay to say, I don't know, what would you do? And when you can do that, especially when you're surrounded by really great people, then things work out, right? They believe in them, they believe that you respect them, you appreciate them, you value them, they're gonna work hard, you trust them, and the team then gets great things done. And so I think that's probably been the biggest lesson I've learned, and the challenge that I've seen as I've moved through these roles.
That's great. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Did anyone help you get to where you are today? Was there any like role models that you had?
Yeah, oh yeah, certainly. I'd say, just starting out, I'd say my parents were huge influence on me. As I mentioned, my father was a college professor and he was a historical geographer and very distinguished in his field. And I saw the value of hard work. Like, he worked really hard and became very well recognized in his field for that. So I think I learned that from him. And I do believe, hard work is critical to be successful in anything we do. It takes hard work. And then my mother just really created just such a warm and safe environment where we were able to take risks and try things and do things that were new and different, which I think was really valuable. But then I think as in terms of my professional career, I would look back again to Carol Sprague is probably one of the first people who influenced me. She was in athletics at the time. Another woman, Donna Sanft, just really talented individuals, knew their field so well, and also both incredibly hard workers. And a gentleman by the name of Mark Hollis, who actually was my boss when I was a volunteer, so he kind of opened the first door to me. He went on to become the athletic director at Michigan State, but he opened the door to me at Pitt. And again, really hard worker, but he taught me about creativity. He was incredibly creative and just always coming up with new ideas about ways we could do things better. And then, as I moved to lower campus, I had the great fortune to work under Mark Nordenberg and Jerry Cochran, who were just an incredible team, really tremendous leaders who did great things for the university. And I'll tell you now, working for Dean Oakley, and I know you're going to have Dean Oakley on in June. I'll give a little plug for Dean Oakley's session. She's a phenomenal leader that just really has great vision and allows us to do our jobs and work hard, and creates a great environment where you want to work hard and where people can really thrive. So I think she'll do a great job next month.
Yeah, I'm really excited about
so,
that.
A lot of people have, I think, had an influence, and I've tried to learn from all the leaders that I've worked for, good and bad. I've learned a lot from leaders that I thought weren't so good, and I've tried to use that to shape some of my leadership philosophies.
That's wonderful. With that being stated, I'm going to stick on the leadership track that we're on currently, and I'm going to take some questions from the Qualtrics survey that we had. The first one was, you have held different leadership positions, as we've talked about. What do you feel your leadership style is? Also, do you feel that you have used the same leadership style throughout your positions, or do you feel that you have changed it?
Good question. So I think that in terms of leadership style, I would say the style has not stayed the same, because I'm a real big believer that the style has to adapt to the individual that we're leading. okay? Because leadership is about inspiring others. I really subscribe to this, this model of, you know, we inspire others to dream and to grow and to learn. That's the main role as a leader, is to help other people achieve their goals and dreams. And so our style has to adapt to what motivates the individual. You know, some members of my team need more interaction because they need to hear that they're doing a good job. They need recognition. Others just want to be left alone to go, right? I got it, I'm running with it, take it and go. And so as a leader, we have to adapt that style to what our people need to motivate them, to give them the environment that allows them to really thrive. So I don't think the style stays the same at all. I think it changes in every interaction we have, but I would say my philosophies have probably been consistent. I'm really a proponent of servant leadership, of, you know, being there to create an environment where people can really get their job done and do it well, right? To create an environment where people love coming to work. Like if I think about the move to auxiliary services, you know, I inherited a great team, and a couple of them are actually here with us this morning. Thank you for coming. They don't even work here anymore, and they came, so that's impressive. But I inherited a really great team, but I felt like a lot of them hadn't, maybe the environment wasn't allowing them to thrive. You know, it wasn't an environment where people loved coming to work. And I think, to me, the formula is pretty simple. Like, if you love coming to work, you're going to do a good job. You're going to work hard. If you don't love coming to work, you're probably not going to do a great job. So a lot of what we did, and the people here helped me do this, was create an environment where people could enjoy coming to work. And even though they might be doing a really difficult job, like, for example, a housekeeper in a residence hall, I think maybe the worst job on campus. Okay, you're cleaning up after not just your kids that are 18, 19, 20, you're cleaning up after 300 kids in a residence hall that are 18, 19, 20 years old. So, you know, we have to be really intentional about doing whatever we can do to make housekeepers feel appreciated and valued and respected, and that their job, I believe, is one of the most important jobs on campus. Because if that student and those parents who are coming to pick up that student from the residence hall see a clean residence hall, they think, my kid's in good shape, right? It's clean, it's safe. And they go tell people, oh, the residence halls at Pitt are so clean. It was great. We didn't have to clean a thing when we moved in, right? I mean, and so if we can create an environment where people enjoy coming to work and feel appreciated, then I think they do great work. So that sort of philosophy, to get back to your question.
No, you're good.
That sort of philosophy, I think, has stayed with me no matter where I've been at the university, to try to create that environment. But the style may change based on the person, based on the organization, based on what we need at the time. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. But.
You did. I also want to reiterate too, because I have seen this in motion when we've been out, when I've been walking with you throughout the years around campus. People actually know you by name, and you know them by name, like groundskeepers and things like that. So that's a testament to what you've been talking about.
Well, it could just, I've been here 31 years, so I know a lot of people. But no, I do believe that, again, if people feel appreciated, they'll work hard, they'll be loyal, they'll be committed, and you can't appreciate them if you don't know them. So one of the things when I moved into auxiliary services was I met with every individual in the department one-on-one. And actually Bernice scheduled a lot of those meetings for me. So I met with every individual because I wanted to get to know them, and I wanted them to get to know me. And so we could start to build that relationship, because I do think that those one-on-one connections are important, you know. I meet with my direct reports one-on-one, either each week or every other week. And your question might be, well, how do you determine? Yeah. Well, I determine it by what they need to stay motivated and inspired. Some of them I feel like want to meet with me every week because they want the feedback. We meet every week. Others don't want to see me that much. I get that. And so we might meet every other week. But I still have those one-on-one meetings. Some people say, why do you meet one-on-one every week or every other? Isn't that a lot? But that's where you build relationship. That's where you build those connections, that trust, that foundation that's so important for us as a team moving forward. Yeah. And so having those relationships has been important. And it gives me life. I have to tell you, it's some people might say, well, it's great that I can walk down here and the housekeepers that worked for me years ago will come up and say hi, but it gives me life to see that I impacted their life, that I made their time when I was working with them a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so that's really fulfilling.
That's great. Moving on, you've had a few different roles in a variety of areas during your long career at Pitt. How challenging was it to shift from athletics to university dining, housing, and parking, and now to operations in the dental school? We touched a little bit upon that.
Yeah, and I think anytime you move into a new role, it's challenging, right? Because you feel like you're the new person and just getting adapted, trying to meet people, and so. As I mentioned before, when you move into that role, being able to acknowledge that you need help is really important, and trying to add value, I think, is an important thing to do right away. And sometimes that's hard because you're not sure exactly what you're supposed to be doing or what your role is, and you're learning that. But I think sort of setting the tone right away that you're there to help the team and to do whatever you can to make the team better is a really good way to move into a new role. And you'll, because what you run the risk of, and I think back when I first came into athletics, I was guilty of this. You run the risk of moving into a new position, and you have all these ideas that you want to do, and you're excited about it, right? But the people you might be joining maybe have been doing that job for 15 or 20 years, and they're not as excited as you are. And I think when I moved into athletics, and I was young, and I moved into my role in athletics, and I was too excited, right, about all the things I wanted us to do. Like, oh, we can do this, and we can do this. And I think some people were like, who is this guy? Like, where did he come from? So I learned that you have to kind of temper that enthusiasm when you move into a new role. Because you don't want to alienate people, or you don't want to give people the impression that you think everything they did was wrong. Like, that's a really big risk, right? Because you do have new ideas, and you're excited about sharing those and making the organization better, but you also run the risk of people saying, well, geez, was everything wrong that we did before? Yeah. And then they start to question you and your commitment to the team. So I think the approach I learned to take after my experience in athletics was, make a list of those 100 ideas that you have, right? Don't just spit them all out, okay? Make a list, and then gradually, as you get settled in, you can start to go down your list and check them off, right? And do it in a more gradual way. And you have a tendency, I think, to make that transition easier for everybody, you and everybody around you,
And that's really sound advice. So with that being stated, what do you believe has allowed you to thrive in those departments?
Well, thanks for saying I've thrived. I appreciate that. Honestly, it's been, first of all, the teams that I've been surrounded by. I mean, I have worked with some of the greatest people at Pitt, and that was some luck. I moved into areas where there were great people. It does speak to the quality of talent we have at this university. So I feel like I was lucky. I moved into teams with great people. But also, when I had the opportunity to hire, I think I really was fortunate to find great people. And so to be around a team that's really committed to the same mission and the same purpose and fully all in on that is an awesome feeling. It's just a great experience to have everybody working together. And it may take time, as you're leading a new organization to get that. But I feel like if you're committed to it and you value people, respect people, you'll get there. And I think that's one of the things when I look back at auxiliary services that was so rewarding. I felt like when I moved into that area, there were a lot of great people, but maybe we weren't all working together, or maybe we weren't clear on how important we were to the university. So I tried to really emphasize a lot, like we're really important to what this university does. And so people felt, I think, maybe more valued. But I felt like in fairly short order, we were all rowing in the same direction. You know, we had a team that was really focused and committed. And we did a lot of surveying. I mentioned I love metrics. We did a lot of surveying. We surveyed students every year because we wanted feedback on how we were doing with housing and dining in particular. And to see our survey scores increase every year because student satisfaction was going up because we were providing better service really reinforced that what we're doing is working, like we're moving in the right direction. And to be able to get up in front of our team, you know, of 300 people and share that our service scores are here and this is where they were 3 years ago, look at the great work you're doing, like was really neat to see, and to see their pride. I think that, and maybe that's something I haven't mentioned yet, but to have them have so much pride in the work they did was really rewarding, and they were so proud of seeing that the students appreciated them and the great job they did.
Yeah, that's great. You are such a dynamic speaker. What made you feel that this is it and there was nothing else that you wanted to do, such as motivational speaking or things along those lines?
So thank you for the compliment. You know, there were times where I thought, you know, do I want to make speaking and consulting a career? Because I really enjoy it. But what I always got back to is what I enjoy about it is if one or two people in that audience can go away, they've learned something or they feel better about themselves. I try to include not just leadership but inspiration in my talks, that if they can feel more inspired or better, then that's what makes me feel really good. And that's what I get to do every day at an institution of higher education. So I have it right here, right? It's what we do. We help students achieve their goals and dreams. And so to be able to do this every day and then to do, you know, speaking and consulting on the side has been just a great fit, you know, great combination. And it's allowed me to do both. And as you know, a lot of the speaking I do is here at Pitt. And when I speak at Pitt, I don't charge at Pitt because I think I'm here to help the mission of the institution. If I can help a department, that's great. So it's allowed me to do both of the things I love and that really fulfill me. So it's been really rewarding.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I have one random last question that I always ask at the end of these. So you've been here 30-some years. Can you tell me what is your favorite hidden gem on Pitt's campus?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I might say the library in the Frick Fine Arts Building. Has anyone said that before?
No, you're the first.
So when I was in MBA school at Katz in Mervis, Frick Fine Arts was right next door, and I have to be honest, I didn't find it myself. My wife went to undergrad here, and she told me, that's a great library to study in. So when I was in MBA school, I would go right next door to the Frick Fine Arts, and the library there is beautiful. If you've not been, you should go see it. It's a wonderful library, a great place to study, just a great environment. So I would always go there to study, and I would just love that. So I think that's probably one of the neat hidden gems. The other one is the dental school. The dental school is a hidden gem, I have to tell you. The work we do up there is phenomenal. And when I was on lower campus, I had no idea about all the incredible work that's going on up there. I thought we were just like cleaning teeth, but we're doing amazing things in that school. So I would say that's a hidden gem as well.
That's true.
You can talk to Marnie more about
I will see what she has. Yeah, I'll see what
Yeah.
she has to say about that. As of sitting here, I was just thinking, I don't think I've ever been in Frick Fine Arts' library either. I didn't think it was there.
You should visit. It's really impressive.
I think I'm gonna have to after
it's
this.
impressive.
Yeah. So we would like to thank everyone who attended today in person, and especially Dr. Jim Earle for his time today. That was really great. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
In case you missed any of our past coffee and conversations, please visit our website. They are there. Starting with Provost Ann Cudd last May, so they will be listed under the events tab currently. We will see you next month, and we will continue the conversation at Pitt Dental with Dean Oakley. As always, if you would like to see someone specific, please be sure to write that in the Qualtrics survey. But until next time, thanks everyone.
Thank you.